Welcome to StorySpin, Malicious Compliance Edition, where the revenge is petty and oh so satisfying. Let's spin it. My sister said I had to let her borrow my clothes, so I handed her the laundry basket. She's always taking my stuff, clothes, shoes, whatever she wants. Sometimes she asks, sometimes I just find out when I see her wearing it. One day she comes in and says, "Mom said you have to let me borrow your clothes." Not even asking, just telling me. Like it's some new rule now. I didn't argue. I just grabbed my laundry basket and gave it to her. It was full of dirty clothes, like actual laundry, gym shirts, socks, stuff that had been sitting there all week. She looks at it and goes, "Seriously?" I said, "You wanted my clothes." She left without saying anything else and hasn't touched my stuff since. She wanted to borrow clothes and she got them. Straight from the dirty laundry. Our next one takes us from family feuds to corporate phone call sabotage. You want me to stop answering the phone? You got it. This happened when I was working at a cemetery, and the managers were absolute micromanagers. When I first started as an admin and receptionist, I would answer the door. We kept it locked for COVID reasons. I'd pick up the phones, transfer calls, and help the family service advisors with their scheduling. They were always swamped, attending to grieving families. And you never rush families. So, yeah, they had a lot on their plates. Then one day we had a team meeting, and I got personally called out for not doing my job. Apparently, I was doing the job of others. They told me I shouldn't be answering the phone. The FSAs should do that. They said the FSAs should answer the door for their own appointments, and they should schedule their own appointments, even if it meant they'd start falling behind on paperwork and be late to funerals. So, I did exactly what they asked. I stopped answering the phone. I stopped scheduling. I just sat there and got paid for doing nothing. Then, I got called out again for not answering or scheduling. I pulled out the meeting agenda they had given me, the one that clearly said I shouldn't be doing those things anymore. Needless to say, I didn't last long there. I had to keep my sanity somehow. Edit for context. By the time they called me out, me and the FSAs worked like a well-oiled machine. I knew the quality of service would suffer by following their new rules. I'm not saying I was some amazing person, but I genuinely believed we were helping people. I loved going above and beyond to support grieving families, especially when they had to deal with bureaucratic nonsense at the worst time of their lives. But the managers didn't see my value. And honestly, I have dozens of other horror stories from my 2 years there. The last straw, they wrongfully fired one of the FSAs for being sick. Gotta love it when they tell you to stop doing your job. Next up, we swap silence for politeness. A customer complained I was rude. A couple of weeks ago, my boss gave me a talking to. For context, I work at a very small, independent neighborhood coffee shop. I know most of the regulars by their order, and with the new people, I can usually give them a good experience. This particular customer, though she's a regular, is absolutely garbage. Rude, entitled, belittling, disrespectful, you name it. Usually I keep my interactions with her as short as possible, but one day I guess I didn't do things just right. So I get to work, and my boss tells me he's gotten a complaint. I've been working there for almost 13 years, and aside from some early growing pains, I can count complaints on one hand. Anyway, he says a customer complained that I was rude, dismissive, the usual. I tell him, okay, I'll be mindful with this customer moving forward. Cue malicious compliance. Every single time I've seen her since, she gets the absolute over-the-top Stepford barista treatment. Think June Cleaver. But cranked up to 13. I'm just pouring on the Midwestern nice like thick saccharin syrup. I've been doing this for at least 2, maybe 2.5 weeks. And believe me, it drives me absolutely out of my mind to keep it up. It takes so much energy to treat her this way. Except today. Today, I gave her the exact same treatment as always. But she made a crucial mistake. She let it slip that the way I talk to her is irritating. When I tell you I haven't had such a rush of happy brain chemicals in almost a decade. And now that I know it annoys her, oh, it's no longer exhausting, it's fueled by spite. So now, It's never going to stop. After being accused of rudeness, she doubled down on the Southern hospitality. Next up, let's take a bad request and turn it into a terrible idea. Make it so a person with zero knowledge could understand it. Okay. About a year ago, I posted a messy, awkwardly worded story about how my old boss had me fired for being a whistleblower. They claimed my very proven but unorthodox methods were a problem, among other bogus reasons. Before I left, they demanded I create a document for my replacement and make it so a person with zero knowledge could understand it. So, I did. I didn't think I'd ever write a follow-up, and definitely not this one. I couldn't have made up what happened next if I tried. Predictably, as soon as I left, things began to unravel. Projects collapsed. Partnerships I built fell apart. Volunteers left, some in protest. Community trust and support from the groups we served, gone. My replacement? Completely clueless. A non-functional alcoholic who didn't even want the job. Apparently, she'd been lied to. She drove every single program into the ground, which also alienated the donors. But that's not all. On my original post, someone suggested I contact the authorities because there was probably fraud going on. I didn't contact them, but I accidentally tipped off the manager of one of our biggest funders. I ran into him at an event. I mentioned that I was fired in December. He looked confused. What do you mean? They said you worked there until March and left on your own. We talked more, and I mentioned one of our flagship programs had shut down months earlier. He looked even more confused. The organization was still reporting it as active. The foundation looked into it. Let's just say it was not pretty, and it didn't stop there. The other big funder was a government program. On my first day at work, I warned them that grant was unreliable, maybe 2 or 3 years max before it got shut down for being too progressive. I told them to prepare a backup plan. They didn't, and you can guess how that went. Then came the weirdest twist. The CEO quit, or maybe got fired. I saw the job posting and, just for fun, decided to apply. I figured my strained history with them, plus my lack of experience in that kind of role, meant I had zero chance. I just wanted to be a little bit of a troll. I sent my resume and cover letter, and forgot about it. A couple months later, they called, asked if I was still interested, asked for an interview. I thought about it, and politely declined. It was tempting, but I knew I'd hate it. And honestly, I'd probably be bad at it. My skills and my heart are in other places. Right now, I'm taking a break from work to focus on my physical and mental health, and getting my master's degree. Best of luck to whoever takes that CEO job. They're going to need it. As it turns out, you can't replace people with a checklist. What a shocker. Next up, a story where a company's obsession with hitting targets wrecks the actual work. It looks like metrics and common sense rarely RSVP to the same party. When the metric becomes the target, a cautionary tale about being careful what you measure. This happened about 8 years ago, when I was working for a North American Class 1 railroad. I worked in IT, specifically in a department that generated metrics and regulatory reports for the Surface Transportation Board and others. Most of our measures were inward-facing: volume, dwell, revenue, productivity. This story involves one very problematic productivity dashboard. It measured the productivity of our unionized office workers, and the managers loved it. They got a weekly graph showing who needed corrective punishment for underperforming. Our toxic CEO at the time was all about punishment. They even had quotas to meet. One day, B, a very senior, very conscientious employee, walked over to see me. He'd just been in a meeting where his manager showed him that he was by far the lowest performing employee on their graph. He was told to pick up the pace or risk suspension. B was baffled. He knew he was always busy, so he came to me because I had access to the back end of the metrics. Some background: B's job was to work the queue. These were failure events that had cacked for one reason or another. His specialty was the messy, time-consuming ones. Backdated events, missing paperwork, problems that required phone calls and deep research. He'd take these on so newer employees wouldn't have to struggle. I pulled up a pre-production version of the dashboard and dug into the source code. We discovered it was counting clusters of specific event types under an employee's ID, but only if there was at least a 2-minute gap between clusters. B was puzzled, so I explained. It was so that processing one train only counted as one event. The system didn't care how many records you fixed, just how many times you clicked OK more than 2 minutes apart. He stared at me. So, they don't care about complexity? Somebody could game that pretty easily. He walked away, clearly thinking. 2 weeks later, he came back grinning. He'd gone from the lowest performer in his group to the highest, by the same huge margin. It's great. I just grab the biggest trains from the queue. I process one screen of cars, then drink my coffee for exactly 3 minutes before processing the next. I finally have time to do my crossword puzzle. Management congratulated themselves. They thought his improvement proved their harsh discipline worked. In reality, the numbers went up, but actual productivity dropped. B just had an easier job and coasted smoothly into retirement. They hit every number on the spreadsheet and tanked everything else in the process. And finally, we're leaving the office and heading to the park for a different kind of compliance. Because apparently, off-leash means watch your dog vanish into the sunset. Want your dogs to be off-leash in the park? It would be a shame if they escaped. This one's unique, because it was malicious compliance by the city against me and my neighbors. And honestly, it was genius. I live beside a 4-quadrant park, cross streets running through it so each section is 1 block by 1 block. One of those quadrants is fenced in. It may or may not actually be owned by the local school district. There were some shady land deals, and the neighborhood's been fighting for access to it for as long as I can remember. Recently, that quadrant was renovated using public funds. During school hours, it's used by the kids and has decent security. The only way in or out is through 4 doors, 1 at each corner. The agreement was that during non-school hours, weekdays after 3 p.m., plus weekends, the gates would be unlocked and the public could use it. Not long after it reopened, people, myself included, started letting their dogs run in there. It was perfect, fully fenced, safe. When complaints started coming in, my wife and I stopped, but others didn't. The city couldn't just lock it up and deprive everyone of access. So how could they stop unleashed dogs? Their solution was so simple, so clever. They padlocked all 4 gates open during non-school hours. Now, if you let your dog run, there are 4 wide-open exits, right into high-traffic streets. You could still try it if your dog is perfectly trained, but most people aren't willing to take that risk anymore. And just like that, the problem was solved. Thanks for tuning in to this perfectly petty compliance compilation. My personal favorite today was killing Karen with a side of kindness before her cup of coffee. Drop your favorite in the comments. Feel free to subscribe. There's always another set of bad instructions waiting to blow up in someone's face.